So for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Austin, the admissions director here, and I have been interviewing most of your students, and I will be handling all of your paperwork for spring semester. So you will hear from me a lot in these next coming months, weeks, days. And then for anybody who hasn't met, my coworker, Orit, give her a chance to introduce herself as well.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Orit. I'm the Director of Operations here. So I pretty much oversee the actual ops on the ground while programs are underway, as well as do some development for programs when they kick off. So as some of you may know, we have recently launched some really exciting domestic programs, and I've been really involved with creating those. And yeah, just tapping in day to day with instructors, making sure that they have all the support that they need on the ground to make sure that your students are supported. So that's me.
Yeah, she's great at it. Well, team, so we're starting to look here towards spring, and as we know, this has been an extremely challenging year and uncertain times, and so all of you might know that we're a New Zealand-based company, and so something that we would like to adapt from Jacinda is really great communication during this time where everything seems really uncertain and up in the air. So it is now almost November 1st, a month out from confirmation date being December 1st. And we just wanted to get the ball rolling with being in communication with each and every one of you about your spring program. So all of you guys who are on here are signed on for an international program with us. We did not run any international programs this fall. We ran domestic US only. So we are cautiously optimistic about spring international programs, but we just all want to be in touch with each other and recognize that there are still so many things that are uncertain in the world, and we're going to try our best to be as adaptable as possible and in communication with you guys as much as possible about the status of your programs, how they're going, what this could look like, and what your options are. So as I interviewed most of you and we went over on interview, come December 1st is 60 days prior to departure date. That will be the day that we go over all of our itineraries, and we will either confirm your itinerary outright, or second, adapt your itinerary and then confirm. And what that could look like is if there is a quarantine, adding a quarantine. If that means that one of the countries that you plan on going to isn't doing well, the other three are, we'll spend more time in 3 countries instead of the 1. That could mean in-country adaptations. Say there are a couple cities that aren't doing well, we could adapt those to make sure that we're staying in the safest places possible. That'll look like going to more rural areas. Obviously, these programs are designed already to be pretty outside and in nature. So your second option is that we adapt and then confirm. And then third option is canceling your program. So in the event that we are unable to adapt your program to run safely and well in the area of where you're signed on for, then the last option would be canceling a program. In the event that we cancel a program, something that we really, really want to work hard to be able to do for all of you is not just pull the rug out from under you. I heard some horrible stories this last fall of students signed on for programmings and their program got canceled like a week beforehand, and they were left without plans and just got the rug pulled out from under them. We recognize what a stressful year this has been. We're not trying to do that to anybody, so we really want to be open with everybody about what's going on as far advanced as possible. And what we were trying to do is make sure that any student who is a current student with us, any student who's signed on for our programs, has a space on a program going forward for spring. So what we would do, what that would look like come December 1st, if your program isn't able to run, is we would come back out to you and say, fortunately, your program isn't able to run, but here are the list of programs that are able to run. Which one would you like a spot on? We are going to work our absolute best to make sure that you have a spot on a program going forward. All of our programs start within the same couple weeks of each other, so it shouldn't impact your travel time. You will still be traveling for spring. Each of our programs are all made up of the same components, no matter which location you go to. They are a combination of adventure, travel, activities, service learning, volunteer service learning, usually in the area of conservation, cultural immersion, and personal development. And you're going to get each of those components no matter which location you go to. We want to make sure that you have a spot for spring so that you're not left without any any plans when when you've been planning for this for so long. Your other options, if you don't want to transfer to a program for spring, to another program that is able to go for spring, if you are just, no, this was the place that I wanted to go to for very specific reasons, this has been, a place I've wanted to travel for years and years and years, we're also happy to delay your program. If you want to sign on for a summer program or a fall program, we're happy to transfer you to a later date program. If you would prefer to wait and give a little bit more time for those countries to recover or open, and make that a viable travel option for you. And then your last option, should your program be canceled, is just say, nope, I really wanted to travel in spring to that location. I would like a refund, and we'll make that fully refundable for you, everything except for your $400 application fee. So those are going to be your three options, and we just want to go over those and kind of talk about the other programs and talk about things right now. But first, I'm going to turn it back over to Arit. She's going to talk about what travel looks like right now during COVID. We'll talk a little bit about how, things have been more adaptable or look differently than our programs normally look because we are traveling during a COVID era. And she'll give you our current status of our programs right now. Again, this is just a first look a month out from confirmation dates. We will not be making any final calls on any programs, and we will not be making any adaptations for our programs till December 1st. We want to keep you guys updated about just where it's at or what it's looking like right now, though. So I'm going to turn it over to her real quick.
Thanks, Austin. So yeah, as Austin has already alluded to, it is a very, very unique time to be, well, anywhere really in the world, but certainly internationally when you're coming from another part of the world. Even domestically, we've got students right now in Hawaii, we've got students right now in Washington and in Montana, Idaho. And there are so many pros to traveling right now, which is really that a lot of the spaces are so much emptier than they are traditionally, and we really get to capitalize on that. But there are also cons to it. And the biggest con is probably the unpredictability of moving forward day to day. What's true today might not be true tomorrow. And so working along with all of the different partners that we have on the ground, the different accommodation providers, the different suppliers, there's a lot of logistics that go into a program like this. And something that we feel is really, really important for all of us to acknowledge, from us to parents to students, is the weight of the unpredictable nature of travel right now. The fact that we are all entering into this space with eyes wide open. So we're front loading this to you, saying that we are doing our best to run programs as promised, but there is certainly and just unexpected nature, things that go wrong, curveballs that we are addressing pretty much day in and day out. Having said that, and I'm sure our students that are on program right now, when they've had a chance to process and debrief and chill out for a few days when they get home, would be more than happy to chat with you and tell you that at the end of the day, they're so grateful and appreciative that they're out there on the road. And we have been able to safely and in an adventurous capacity take them all over and do amazing things and see amazing things and do it with other like-minded individuals. So while it might not be the traditional nature of travel, it certainly is a really, really amazing opportunity to still get out there and make the most of your GAP experience. So with that in mind, I do want to give you kind of a current update as to what the different regions that we do operate in are looking like right now, so that when we do hop off this call, when you do have a chance to process what it is we're throwing at you today, you can start to kind of marinate on that information and think about potential backup plans if it is something that is necessary for the region that you're currently signed up for. So so with that in mind, I'm going to start with South America. So South America is generally open right now, which is really exciting. That goes through the Ecuador and the Galapagos and Peru. So while we do anticipate still hitting those regions, we are likely going to be moving a little bit slower. So moving less, doing more is kind of the motto that we're adapting to in this coming semester. But we are feeling really good about South America, which is great. Central America is really open right now. Guatemala, Costa Rica, they're all slowly opening in some capacity or another, Belize and Mexico. So we might be again pulling and staying in certain countries a little bit longer than others, but we are feeling really good about Central America right now. So that's exciting. New Zealand, Australia, probably one that quite a lot of your ears are perking up now. We know that we have quite a lot of students who are signed on for that. Um, the reality is, as many of you have probably been keeping tabs on, they have not opened their borders as of now. Our intel on the ground is feeling like Australia might be moving in that trajectory. There have been a very, very limited amount of student visas that have been released by the Australian and New Zealand government in the past few weeks, but it has been highly, highly controlled and highly limited. We are not feeling great about that for a February 1 start date. That means that we are exploring the opportunity of possibly a later start date, possibly a later, shorter program. But in terms of the full 70 days with New Zealand and Australia, that's not a green light for us right now. With Southeast Asia, it is generally an improving situation. We're obviously monitoring it daily, weekly, monthly, hourly. We are making quite a few assessments that go beyond borders. As with all of our programs, we've got to assess the general risk assessments in the region. We've got to assess the ability of hospitals to be able to take on basic injuries, things that happen, sprained ankles, broken wrists, the basic thing when you're spelunking and surfing and canyoning all over the world. So we are doing quite a detailed assessment of that. With Southeast Asia, I know there were quite a few of you who immediately reacted to the knowledge that Thailand may be excluded from the itinerary, and it is a big emphasis on the may be excluded. We're not feeling great about Thailand right now, and that's because they've been changing the date in which they're going to be allowing tourists to come in. So it was supposed to be October 1, then they delayed it to November 1. They have since released a very limited number of visas for specific educational purposes. So we're remaining hopeful, cautiously optimistic, as Austin said, but we're not green lighting Thailand, but we are considering making some bigger adjustments to Southeast Asia and potentially running it without Thailand. Again, that's not at 100%, but that is where we're at right now. And then lastly, for international is going to be our Nepal and Tibet. We're feeling really, really good about Nepal. We've got our operators on the ground there who are kind of giving us thumbs up all around. We are not feeling so good about Tibet. So given that Tibet is only about 10 days of the itinerary, it's going to be quite easy enough for us to take our contingency itinerary and just run the entire program in Nepal. To be honest, even with 70 days in Nepal, you're kind of just starting to scratch the surface. So we're not concerned about filling in those extra days over on that side. So yeah, Nepal is likely to move forward. So that's really where we're sitting with our 5 international destinations at this point. Austin, you want to jump in now before we hop
Absolutely.
over to domestic?
Thank you so much for that, Arit. It's really helpful to kind of have it all laid out. I hope you guys are hearing a number of different factors that go into our considerations. Obviously, our first factor is what are actual cases in each region? How are they actually handling COVID? What are they, what are their new cases? And what is the kind of safety risk assessment about actually traveling from a health perspective in each region? The second consideration there is what is actually operationally viable? What government restrictions are there? What visa restrictions? What border restrictions? What in-country restrictions? Are we in groups under 10? Are there operators able to operate? So there's certainly operational restrictions with each one as well, and trying to balance the two of those of where are our limitations coming from. So luckily with us, we are quite agile. These are already overland journeys, so we're already traveling to lots of different places. So if we were headed one way and there's a bump in the road here, we're quite able to renegotiate and redirect to another place that is able to. As long as we're able to operate with our groups, we're also able to pull you guys to a rural location. So we're able to be pretty agile and mobile and adapt pretty well. We're able to both adapt our itinerary and our COVID protocol to kind of be under whatever operational restrictions are required by that country, and dodge those kind of COVID hotspots, so to say. So we've been doing our best to be pretty maneuverable and continue with our contingency plans on different ways that we can go. Our ultimate goal is to be able to take you to the region that you want in the safest possible way, while still protecting the integrity of the program. So as long as we're kind of, able to get in there, we're probably able to navigate something pretty epic and wonderful. So obviously I know there are a lot of people riding on New Zealand and Australia, as are we, but unfortunately if they just don't open that border. Now again, that final decision is not being made till December 1st. That's the last holdout date. At any point in time, they could change that. They could make an announcement about their intentions to open, and that would open up a lot of things. But we're just letting everybody know it's a month out, and they haven't said anything yet. Should for some reason even just Australia decide that it's going to open up, we could easily run 70 days in just Australia, and have a phenomenal time. So those adaptations are still in waiting, if at all possible, come December 1st. But we just don't want anybody to be surprised by what it's been looking like. Once make sure everybody's included in all that. And same with Southeast Asia, surprised with Thailand. So border restrictions obviously limit us the most out of anything. So that being said, because even though that's exactly where we're at now, we all know this could be different in a month's time. I could come right back to you in a month and be like, so guess what happened, So we all recognize that the only thing that's certain in this life is uncertainty. So that being said, I would love it if everybody could take a look at the programs across the board. The thing that we want to prepare for most is the ability to relocate you on any other program of your choice, whether that's another international program, and so we have provided you a booklet in that email that I sent all of you guys. It's like a really quick reference comparison, so you can see your program and what's offered on similar programs. So everybody's joined each program for their own specific reasons. For instance, this last fall program, we didn't run any of our international programs, and we had 3 New Zealand and Australia programs at that point in time. All of my guys who were in for it for Australia and surfing and snorkeling, they all went to Hawaii quite happily, and all of our people who were in it for like New Zealand and hiking and backpacking, they all went all to Western. They've hit every national park in town. So I mean, it's all totally going to depend on what you were in it for, and what you're hoping to see. So we've provided that like cross-reference booklet for you to kind of see, hey, why was I choosing this program? Where is that available elsewhere? And be able to have that second option in mind. Specifically for New Zealand, Australia, and Southeast Asia students, if you all could take a moment to over the next week or so, pick out your backup option and email it to me. I want to create a second list of where everybody would intentionally want to go, so that we're able to make the provisions to make sure that you have a spot on whichever the program that is. And if you want to delay later, again, we're not making that decision till December 1st, but we want to make sure that we're able to accommodate you guys in any other capacity that you might want to go to. So we just want to make sure that's all open, make sure you guys are felt like you're accommodated in every kind of way. That being said, if you want to jump into another international program, great. Central America is for my water babies. If you're sailing, snorkeling, just want to like go scuba diving, all of these things are represented. There's definitely something for everyone in each and every one of these journeys. They're all the journey of a lifetime. I couldn't possibly help you choose between them. Each and every one of them you will tell your grandkids about. I'm certain of that. But please don't also, I know so many of you are on here because you were really hoping for an international travel program this semester, and by all means, you can have a backup of another international program that's able to run, but please don't overlook the domestic options. In the United States, there are so many gems in our own backyard that, it's so difficult to remember to play tourist in your own backyard. There are so many natural features here that are absolutely wondrous. I'm going to turn it over to Arit, who actually designed each and every one of our domestic options, start to finish. And so she can tell you a bit about those in case there's something in your international program that you're actually looking for that you can find right here. Obviously, we have the most control over the U.S. domestic programs. They can't kick us out. We're already here. Obviously we have the most control to be adaptable, and to have a really robust and secure itinerary here in the States. So I want to turn it over to her to give you just a little bit about those in case you haven't looked at domestic options yet.
Yeah, thanks, Austin. I'll try to keep it brief. I recognize that there is something out there for everyone, but not everything is for everyone. So obviously, if anything that I discuss you're actually quite curious about and want to discuss more in detail, just let myself or Austin know and we can hop on a chat and I can just give you a little bit more intel. But essentially, we do have 4 pretty robust domestic itineraries. One on the eastern coast that heads up towards Maine, covers Acadia National Park, does some surfing out there, and then some really undiscovered gems just heading down the east through West Virginia and through the Great Smoky Mountains of Tennessee and Asheville, and heading through Atlanta and up the coast of South Carolina, Charleston, all of those amazing, pretty undiscovered regions for a lot of us. Then we've got our Western program, which is probably one of the most epic road trips of all time. Like if you're really just looking to get out there and explore every single day. Right now, the Western trip that they've done was a contingency plan, and it was because our original one actually started in some of the states that cases were rising more and more as the start date began. So we decided to kind of quickly pull the plug and change them head upward. But it was really one of the most amazing pivots that we've made in terms of the different national parks that they've been able to visit. And so we're just dialing that back for this semester as well. And we're giving you Yellowstone and Glacier and Mount Rainier and Moron State Park and Joshua Tree and Moab. In Moab, you're hitting Canyonlands, Arches. It's just really 70 days of exploring every diverse national park that exists in our mainland. It's pretty amazing. And then we've got a really nice blend of Hawaii and the West, which covers a month on the Big Island in Hawaii. So you're getting to hit that national park, Volcanic National Park. You're surfing, you're snorkeling, you're fishing. You're really on the water for a solid month before you head into the deserts of Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico. So that's a really, really nice blend if you kind of want the best of all worlds. And then we've got our full Hawaii program, which is a month on the Big Island and a month in Oahu. And that really channels in on permaculture, on sustainability, and on water. So they do a bit with marine biology. They do quite a bit with land conservation, and they're really working alongside the local Hawaiians to learn about the culture and the traditions that go on over there. So I think most people would probably attest that if you are looking to get a bit of that culture, the most exotic place you can really hit within the US is going to be that Hawaii component. So that's just a really, really quick run through of the 4 different programs that we do offer domestically, and that we are incredibly confident for come spring. So again, you can download all of the info booklets on the website. And if you want to chat through any program specifics whatsoever, just give myself or Austin a shout and we'll get into further detail with you.
Absolutely. And there's that quick little flip book, reference book for you to just see the highlights of each program to go through the comparison. Okay, guys, I realize I've chatted your ear off just a little bit, but I have 2 last really important points to go over that are really important. So the next is your program payment is due November 1st. Let's talk about that for a little bit. One, each of you can check your remaining balance in your student portal. Each student created a username and login in order to apply for our programs. That's where you completed your application and paid your program application fee and your deposit. I really encourage every student to share that login and password with your whole family. Your whole family will take all of you to get this paperwork done. And that portal will be our main point of contact with you all, giving you all of the updates for your program. So come December 1st when programs are confirmed. Right now you can only see your application and payment information in there. Come December 1st, we will open that up and you will see so much more information and all the specific information for your program. So I highly encourage you share that username and password with your whole family. Bookmark that page to the top of your desktop. You will reference it daily in the lead up to your program. In there right now are your 3 payment options. There's a tab called your payment instructions guide that has your 3 payment options of how to submit your final program payment. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it has the payments you've made so far as well as your remaining balance. So your remaining tuition is due November 1st. This is you continuing to move on in the process with us, that you're looking for a guaranteed spot on a program with us this spring, whether the program that you are confirmed on or a backup program. So you're going to go ahead and pay that. Again, if we cancel your program on December 1st and you don't want to switch to another program for spring and you don't want to switch to a later one, that program tuition is refundable to you. But there's something that's very important that is triggered by program payment. So we need to discuss travel insurance. So every single year, no matter which program you're going on, you purchase travel insurance for your travel. Just like you have car insurance just in case anything happens while you're driving, you have travel insurance for long and it certainly well, our programs that have a lot going on to them. So travel insurance covers three main components, which are really important. The first of which is your medical coverage while you're on program. If you're on a domestic program, you might already have your own personal health insurance, and that's great. There's more to it with the travel insurance. So travel insurance covers your medical coverage while on program. So say you're in another country and you roll your ankle, you want to make sure that you're covered. So the first is your medical coverage while on program. Second is trip interruption, and second is cancellation and then interruption. So trip cancellation is if you want to cancel your program before the program starts. Trip interruption is if you cancel your program after the program starts. Travel insurance, like all insurance, is incredibly complicated, lengthy, has tiny fine print, is difficult to understand. It is all of those things, and it certainly has been generally something that's kind of difficult every year, but this year is different, mostly because all travel insurance have adapted and changed, and they're all also trying to figure out how they're dealing with COVID as well, and ensuring people's travel during COVID as well. So with us, we do not sell travel insurance. We are not travel insurance agents. We only require you to have it because we need you to be covered. So everybody is encouraged to do their own research with travel insurance. I will send you a list of about 7 travel insurances that I would encourage you to look into. There are hundreds out there. But every family needs to make a decision for themselves about what type of coverage they need. Obviously, none of you are in the same unique position, so you need to choose what travel insurance works for you. And I want to recognize I have a limited knowledge of this, but I want to share what I do know with you all and encourage you to do your own research to make sure that you have the coverage that you need. The first thing that's really important is that all of you look over our terms and conditions. So on our webpage, when you hit apply, there's apply, admissions process, and terms and conditions. I highly encourage everyone to just reread the terms and conditions for our program if we go forward, what refunding and cancellation looks like, so that you know our limitations going forward. What covers the limitations past that is your travel insurance. So your travel insurance, you're going to want trip cancellation. So like, let's say, for instance, on the way up to program, so like something that we do to have everybody come onto program safely is everybody has to pass a negative COVID test before you come on program. There are a lot of reasons you need travel insurance. I'm obviously going to specifically focus on the travel, COVID travel parts of it. So say, for instance, you're coming on program, we've asked you to get tested before you fly, and it's 3 days before program, and you test positive for COVID, which means that you're obviously not getting on that plane. What do you do? So travel insurance would cover if you were to come down with COVID before you were even able to come on program, would either cover your medical coverage and your delay in coming on program, or if you coming down with COVID prevented you from travel, would reimburse you your entire program tuition, which is a big deal. So there is all of this inherent risk in traveling during a COVID era. So we do want to kind of go over some of those what ifs. So if you were to come down with COVID a week before your program, you would be able to file a travel insurance claim for your medical coverage, as well as your program tuition, which is really important because for us, your program tuition is non-refundable after 30 days. That's because we are starting to make bookings in your name, right? Like we are making plans for you. So those would be unrefundable for us and therefore to you. So go over our terms and conditions so you know when things are non-refundable by us, and you're going to need travel insurance to cover those gaps for you and make sure that you are covered. So medical coverage, trip interruption, and trip cancellation are all things that are going to need to be really specifically looked at for you and your family. Like I said, there are tons of travel insurances out there, and tons of them have changed their policies in this last year. So I'm going to send everybody a list of 7 different places to look into. We were actually originally going to have Heather from Seven Corners, someone who's worked with us before, come on this call and be able to explain this to everyone, or at least her specific policies on this call. Unfortunately, she wasn't actually able to make it tonight, and I apologize for that. But we have given you guys her direct number, and she can go over their policies and what they are able to cover for you individually. And she's happy to talk you through each and every one of us. She's very familiar with our program. But I'll send you a list of a number of places that you should definitely look into. Things that you need to consider is something very important called cancel for any reason. The only reason I'm bringing this up now instead of when we start the paperwork on December 1st is because cancel for any reason insurance has very specific stipulations of when you are able and eligible to buy it. So if you want cancel for any reason insurance, you have to purchase that within 20 days of paying your payment to your travel operator. We are your travel operator. You're paying your final program payment on November 1st, which means if you pay by November 1st, you have 20 days to purchase cancel for any reason insurance. That's usually, no matter which company you're buying with, they usually make you buy it within 20 days. The reason for that is, I don't actually know the reason for that, but that's what they do. And cancel for any reason insurance, to my understanding, is that for at any point in time, if you want to back out of a program for fear of travel or something goes on, you want to have cancel for any reason insurance. It means that you're paying a little bit of a higher price for the flexibility of being able to pull out whenever you want to, just in case you feel like you need to. Normal travel insurance, to my understanding, covers if you don't go on program, if you have personal injury, if you roll your ankle a week before program, if you get COVID a week before program, if a family member unfortunately passes away before program and you feel unable to travel, in any way that you're deemed unfit to travel, most travel insurances cover that. Cover those reasons, but they're a very specific list of reasons. Cancel for any reason insurance gives you the flexibility of, if any of those basic reasons for not attending program, if anything outside of those reasons keeps you from traveling, that you're able to call upon that instead. So you would pay a little bit more for cancel for any reason insurance. Some of you may want that because you want all of the protection in the world right now. Some of you might be like, look, we're going, I'm not, this isn't a question, I'm committed, I'm into it. But that is a decision that each and every family needs to make for themselves. And if you don't want cancel for any reason insurance, you can buy it anytime up until a week before programs start. I will ask you to have it sooner than that because I would like it on file. But the only thing that is time sensitive with your program payment is if you want to cancel for any reason insurance with any single travel insurance provider. I, again, am not a travel insurance provider. I don't know all the details on this, but in this uncertain time, you might want cancel for any reason insurance. We do not require it, but if you want it, you should get it soon. So when we end this call, I am going to send you and everyone else like lists of a couple travel insurers to get into. You can contact Heather directly, who's happy to explain travel insurance. I'm certain everybody has questions about this and I'm not going over it very well. So please feel free to drop any questions in the chat box and I can answer them. Let's see. Unfortunately, I don't have any adaptation. So I just got a question: if Thailand is out for Southeast Asia, what country would be substituted? There are possibilities that other countries would be substituted in the area, but none of that, no adaptation calls or any of those calls are being made till December 1st. Just, it could be, we could make a whole itinerary to adapt somewhere, and then in between now and December 1st, it changes. So December 1st is when we'll make all those final calls about adaptations.
Yeah, I'll also jump in real quick and just say that just because we remove a country, it doesn't necessarily mean we are going to supplement it with a new one. It might just mean that we are going to spend more time in the countries that we can go to that are on our existing itineraries.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is a fantastic question. So for transferring to any other program, if you are signed on for New Zealand and Australia and you want your backup program to be Hawaii in the United States, if you are transferring to any program, you will need to pay the price of whatever program you are transferring to. If you are transferring to a program that costs less than the program that you are on, we will refund you the additional amount that you have paid. If you are transferring to a program that costs more than the program you're on, you will need to pay whatever additional cost that is. That is important because they are different regions. They do cost different things. So for you to do those activities, you will need to pay the cost of whatever program you are transferring to. If you buy travel insurance right now and you buy your cancel for any reason insurance, I have been informed that if you buy travel insurance right now for New Zealand and Australia, and then you end up transferring to Hawaii, they are able to change your destination on your travel insurance, your dates on your travel insurance, and your price on your travel insurance. They are completely flexible for if you buy a policy now to be able to transfer your travel insurance as well as your program. I asked that question thoroughly, that anybody be able to change their date and location of their travel insurance policy to travel with the program that they will be transferring to. Any other questions about health insurance or travel insurance? I will be sending all that out, but I do recognize that travel insurance is a fine print kind of nightmare in the what ifs category of life. But it's totally up to you if you want cancel for any reason insurance. That is just the only thing that is time sensitive with your payment date. If a program is ever substituted because of cancellation, if a program is ever unsubscribed,
I understand. I'll jump in here.
Oversubscribe. Help me. I can't read and talk at the same time.
I think what the question's getting at is if a program is at capacity. So if we've hit our maximum numbers on a certain program, can we expand capacity? The direct answer is no. We're never going to expand capacity. We're always going to run at the maximum number of students with the same ratio of instructors, but we would happily open another program on the same itinerary, just maybe a week later. We stagger our iterations as we do with New Zealand, Australia, as we do with Southeast Asia. Group 2 starts a week after Group 1. Group 3 starts a week after Group 2. So we did the same thing this semester. We had 4 iterations of our Hawaii program, and we had 2 iterations of our Western program. And so each one just started a week later. So that's exactly what we would do in that regard.
And the groups don't meet or interact. They're a week separate so that they're running the same itinerary, and never the two shall meet. So you are establishing your own bubble, and then you are fiercely protecting that bubble as you travel. It will always be 12 students, but once we come out with a list of confirmed programs, we imagine every single one of them will fill, and we will also open up programs to make sure that all of you are accommodated.
There was another question before that asking about homestays, which is a great question. And one that unfortunately we don't have a clear-cut answer to.
Just yet.
Yes. It depends on our homestay partners, what their current comfort levels are. Essentially, we have developed a pretty robust and overarching COVID protocol procedure that we do require all of our students and all of our partners to follow on the ground. And then we request one from them as well to make sure that we can cross-reference them, that we're all on the same page, that we're feeling comfortable about moving forward in our partnership. So those are conversations that are ongoing. They're being had with all of our homestay partners, and we have not come to a decision one way or the other. We are essentially trying to assess whether we can maintain safe quarters if we do move forward with some semblance of a homestay. But it is not a guarantee. So it is something that we are currently assessing and discussing internally.
Mm-hmm.
Is there someone? No.
Not tomorrow. If you have a question, I'd highly encourage you to get it out now. I unfortunately am not available over the weekend.
And will you know if programmed quarantine at the program start country is required? That is a very topical question, and one that I'm sure our Hawaii students would be happy to respond to you about. Essentially, we won't know until we have to leave for program. So with our Hawaii programs, I believe it was about 3 weeks before program started that we officially knew a 2-week quarantine would be required. And so we
Because that's when Hawaii
immediately,
decided to tell us, is all
yeah,
I'm
of
saying. It
course,
wasn't our
it's
choice. That's when they decided to let us know.
yeah, it's always going to defer to the regulations that are in place in any given country. So with Hawaii, we were, we became aware of their quarantine when they announced it. It was about 3 weeks before program started. And so we immediately went into action and secured an accommodation provider for our students to quarantine. We put together a quarantine package where all meals and accommodation were taken care of. And of course, we arranged some pretty hands-off, hands-on, facilitation of group discussion. The instructors are also quarantining if the students are, so there's still engagement, there's still contact. But unfortunately, there's no clear-cut, blueprint to that question because it just
Yeah.
depends on when the
Yeah.
country lets us know.
We can tell you how it went for fall. We had all students arrive 2 weeks prior to program start. So they came 2 weeks early. We secured housing for them. They quarantined in pods of 4. So they started to get to know each other and their other group mates as they were in quarantine. So they quarantined for a full 2 weeks, pods of 4, 2 weeks prior to program start. So that they started their program start date on time and it did not affect their itinerary. That meant that on day 1, they already knew each other really well, which meant that we had a great program dynamic. We provided food and the accommodation for students at a quarantine, kind of like pre-program quarantine package of food and accommodation and then facilitation by our program instructors. Everyone was extremely well prepped to bring coloring books and board games to share. There were a lot of online workouts and board games for sure. But all the students came 2 weeks early and then started their program on time. Someone wanted to transfer to a summer program who was on NZA. If you would like to transfer to summer, that is absolutely fine. Please just let me know. Missed that before homestays. Absolutely, you are totally free to transfer to a summer program or fall 21, depending on what's available in your schedule. Absolutely. So for the spring Hawaii program, our Hawaii itinerary, what's available online, that is our original itinerary. For fall, we made the adaptation because of COVID numbers and restrictions in Hawaii to not do inter-island travel. They did incorporate an inter-island quarantine, so we weren't going to have them quarantine upon arrival and then quarantine to go to the different islands. So for fall, we made the adaptation to stay only on the Big Island. For spring, we'll go back to our original itinerary and come December 1st, make any adaptations based on the COVID known factors at that time. So we will revert to the original itinerary first and then make adaptations based on COVID and restrictions at that time.
How many days after December 1 do you have to decide if you want a backup option or cancel?
I would like you to decide before December 1, please. Please let me know as soon as you can, then we'll decide, then we'll make the program confirmations and I'll come back out to you with the confirmations and then hopefully you've already thought about it and you can just whip it back to me.
Yes, transfer to a summer program is possible, as is transfer to a fall. We're being as flexible as possible. So if you prefer transferring on to summer, not a problem. Just let us know.
If you make your payment this weekend for Southeast Asia and then decide that you don't want to go forward with the program because Thailand is not viable, you will be able to get a full refund of your tuition on December 1st, less your $400 application fee. We would love to include Thailand, but if it's not open or if it's not safe, we will remove it. But yes, if you pay now for the Southeast Asia program and then decide, every one of you has 3 options come confirmation date. You can, your program will be, you can either transfer to a current spring program, transfer to a later program, or get a refund less your $400.
Does the deposit count towards the time crunch for the cancel for any reason insurance?
It does not. With Heather from Seven Corners that I've clarified, those are considered admissions fees versus your program tuition is your November 1st payment. That took some explaining, like an hour on the phone with her. We are able to transfer program. Yes, if you, even though the program confirmation date is December 1st and you'd like to transfer now, just and get it out of the way and have your sure thing kind of put together, absolutely. You can email me and I can transfer you now. Absolutely. Is there a
Let's see.
technology policy for the domestic programs? We have the technology policy for all of our programs. You're not able to bring your laptop or iPad. You are able to bring your phone. We just ask that you put your phone away for most of the day. This is the program of a trip of a lifetime. So by all means, take photos, take videos, post them to social media, let your friends and family follow along. Know that you are safe. Be jealous of your experience by all means. But we will ask you to put your phone away for most of the day because we do want you to be involved and engaged and fully present in your experience. We usually stick to this policy pretty hard, but for any program that required a quarantine, we actually allowed them to bring their laptops and iPads for like the first time ever, because we recognize that you're gonna maybe rely on some technology during quarantine era. But we did tell them to all recognize that once your quarantine is over, you're still hauling that around in a backpack for the rest of your program. So recommending small devices. But we will talk about that certainly on your pre-departure call in your lead up to your actual program departure.
So somebody wants to know essentially if they make their full payment and they want to pull out because they're not happy with the updated itinerary we provide on December 1, will they get a refund?
Where I don't even see that. I'm so lost in these
If we make
comments.
our payment this weekend for Southeast Asia, then decide we don't want to go forward. The answer is yes. You'll have until December 1 to make that call once we present the finalized itinerary to you.
Yeah, but please recognize that the adaptations that we're making are in kind with the program's original intent. We are substituting and finding the same kind of either cultural activities or adventure activities to do to be able to get that cultural immersion. But you do have to recognize that we are traveling during COVID life, and this is a perfect opportunity and setup to recognize if you want to travel during COVID-19, this is a time for you. You will have to be more flexible than you have ever been. And no matter what the itinerary is that we give out to you on December 1st, you have to recognize it could still change at any point in time throughout your itinerary. It could more things could change in between a week before programs start. You could be on program and on your way to a country and that thing changed. So we have to recognize we're operating with a constantly changing landscape. And so even whatever we come out to you with as like this is what it's going to be for December 1st, we reserve the right to continue to change our COVID protocol as well as the itinerary and adapt it at any time to make sure that we're, trying to travel as safe as possible or within the operational capacity of those countries. And they can change at any time. So, yes, absolutely, you have till December 1st to make that decision. But if you're signing on and trying to travel right now, you're signing on with an attitude of like, whatever we get to do is awesome. And that travel right there is a privilege. So that, please just have that adaptability and flexibility in mind if you're choosing to go forward at all right now.
Come December 1, can you change the trip you're going on even if it's not canceled?
Yes, but I'd prefer to give you a heads up or to get a heads up. And in all honesty, guys, you guys are signing on for a program. We're trying to do our best to have that accommodation for everybody to switch around, but there is a lot operationally we have to do to prepare that and make sure that all those things are viable. So if you're considering switching to a program, please let me know as soon as you can. I will absolutely honor you have till December 1st to make that decision, but I'm definitely going to need all final decisions in by December 1st after we give you that confirmation date. There's so much that has to go in on our end based on where everybody needs to go. And of course, your decision can also impact others, how many spaces are left, especially for any more prospective students and for each other. We do try to keep an even gender split on all of our programs. And so some of it can even be simple as we have too many girls on this program or too many guys on this program, that can also limit switching. So we are trying to make all these accommodations as much as we can. So please just give me a heads up and I can just look and see if that's a viable situation. But I will honor December 1st as your time to make your choices.
Wasn't considering South America because of language. Is there a program without language immersion? I imagine you mean outside of all of our domestic programs, most of our.
All the ones that speak English.
But it certainly doesn't have a deep language component like South and Central America do. Yeah.
It's 2 weeks of language immersion on those programs, though. It's a week here and then
pretty
a
awesome.
week there.
It's
And
pretty awesome immersion.
you're playing soccer with all the kids. It was great. All right, what questions have I missed? Oh, I've been talking for a long time.
Yeah. If we have to get out of the country we are on while on program, do we get any sort of refund, or is that included with travel insurance? That is spot on. It is exactly one of the main reasons you get travel insurance.
You get applause.
Yeah. We pre-book everything before our students go, and we don't get refunds from our providers, meaning that unfortunately we can't pass refunds on to our families. So that's exactly what travel insurance is for. They will reimburse for any potential trip interruptions that occur after we've already embarked on our program.
And how long after December 1st could you decide to pull out based on COVID safety? Or is that why you get travel or cancel for any reason insurance? Absolutely. So our terms and conditions, don't quote me on this, is very important to know, but I believe that 60 days you can receive half of your tuition back, and it's 30 days it's zero of your tuition back from us. So at any point in time, if you have hesitation of travel, you're going to want you are my travel cancel for any reason travel insurance candidate. If you want that freedom to be able to pull out at any point in time for any reason whatsoever, I would highly recommend getting cancel for any reason insurance. What are your thoughts about someone who is already fluent in Spanish as it relates to Spanish speaking trips? Dude, more power to you, by all means. There's nothing more fun than getting to know other cultures. If you already speak their language, then you get to engage with that culture even more. Engaging with other cultures, you learn about their core values, their food, their ways, a totally different perspective. And if you understand the language, then awesome. One, practice that language, and two, get an even more a deeper cultural immersion experience.
And just to be clear, the courses, the classes that you take in Spanish are tailored and customized to your level of Spanish. So you are not going to be sitting in a classroom with somebody who is a beginner, or even somebody who's like a low intermediate. It will be tailored to you. So if you are already fluent, it will become a lot more conversational and a lot more learning about different dialects and slang and words that you likely don't already know.
Yeah, or maybe you're having conversations with them in English and you're the reverse tutor.
How long after December 1 could you decide to pull out based on COVID safety? Oh, did we already address that? Sorry. Is transfer to another program guaranteed from Australia, New Zealand to Hawaii?
That's why everybody's giving me their heads up now, but yes, we're doing our best to accommodate every one of your number one requests, and we will be adding programs to make sure that there is accommodation for you in the program that you want. So we will be adding subsequent programs to make sure that there's space for you. But hopefully everybody sends me their requests so I have it on file and I know how many that I need to run. Got spreadsheets on spreadsheets here, guys.
All right, there's been a pause in the questions.
I'm so sorry. Look at this like little monocle. Do you see this cute little couple just like heads together being adorable right now? Can't even handle. Sorry for calling you out. You guys are really cute.
All right, we've had a lull in questions. Nope, we have not. Nope, here they come. What if you switch to another trip and not enough students want to go on that trip?
I highly doubt it. So once we confirm programs, I got all of you guys who are signing on before confirmation date, post confirmation date. I'm going to be so underwater with people calling me. We did hit capacity last fall, and we ended up turning away about 50 students who didn't get a space. So there are more people applying for a gap year this year than ever before, and certainly more people applying for the spring semester. Poor students who tried college in fall and were on campus trapped in their dorm room and didn't particularly enjoy that experience are like, okay, I am traveling for spring then, and they are calling me. So I would bet we will be packed and hit capacity and be turning people away for spring.
If we want to change from Southeast Asia to another trip after December 1, is that possible? If no, Thailand.
On confirmation date, when it's confirmed and you're confirmed, that is where you are headed. So make your decision.
Mm-hmm. What if you don't like the changed program offered on December 1? Can you opt out then and get a refund?
On December 1, yes.
Yes, up until December 1.
Up
That
until
is the
December
deadline.
1.
If you were to switch from New Zealand to another trip before December 1, could you switch back if New Zealand were to open up? You want to take this, Austin?
Before December 1? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still, everything is totally flexible before December 1. If December 1 comes and we confirm New Zealand, Australia, you and everyone else will be trying to get on it.
Mm-hmm. But also, I'm not sure exactly if this is what you were getting at, but if you switch on, like, let's say November 29th and New Zealand were to open up on January 1, it doesn't necessarily mean that we would run New Zealand. Like, December 1 is really when we confirm what we are and are not moving forward with. So what new information do you have on New Zealand and Australia? Not entirely sure what.
I think they may have missed the beginning. Borders are still closed.
Gotcha. Yeah, borders still currently closed. Limited student visas currently going out.
But who knows? Everything in the world is political. They just finished up their elections in New Zealand, and we're about to wrap up our elections here. Maybe they'll.
Are we?
Can hope. I can hope. Let me have it. Let me have it.
All right, team. Clock is winding down. We've got one more. Still confused. Do we decide on Southeast Asia without knowing if going to Thailand? Correct? No. On December 1, we are going to be presenting the finalized itinerary of what we are moving forward with. So you will know whether we are intending to go to Thailand or not. And you should have a backup plan of, hey, if they come out with an itinerary that's not Thailand and that's a game changer for me, then boom, hit us with what your backup is on that day. And if you're like, oh, actually this backup itinerary is pretty amazing, because it will be, then you can stay on course and head with us overseas.
So final confirmation date's December 1st. This is just your heads up chat. This is what we're thinking, so that there are no surprises chat, because we're all done with surprises this year.
Hopefully. 2021,
come
new
on,
energy.
2021, come on. All
right, guys. I think that is us.
I think that's it. Yeah, team, this has been amazing that you guys are on here. We're so thankful to be traveling with you. We're so thankful to have your trust, and we are insanely optimistic for such an incredible semester for spring. We will do our best to continue to be as clear as possible with you guys. You can contact us at any time as well, but thank you for being here, and I hope you're looking forward to spring as much as we are.